the PhD. You're just now entering the cipher. Called Real2reel360. KY.
Peace and blessings to Allah's mighty 5% nation, the God's nurse, to all the human families of the planet Earth. We bid you love, peace, and happiness and a high salute. My name is DJ KY Allah, aka Kato the Black Superhero. Welcome to Real to Real 360 on the new platform. We're going to get started today and go right into our program. We have a dynamic guest for you all today, so we want you to definitely sit back, relax, and take notes as we adventure off into a new setting. All right, I'm gonna bring on my co-host with the most. He's gonna play his joint, and we gonna come on about it. Mr. PhD, let's roll. Mr. PhD, where you at, bro? I don't hear your anthem.
Peace to all of our likers and subscribers. Thank you for your patience with us for the last past
Yeah.
week or so. Right now, we have just switched to Restream, and I figured out what the issue actually is, and I will go forward. Will be taking care of that again. But today we have this author, this entrepreneur, this philanthropist that will be gracing us today on Real to Real 360. This young lady right here has about 3 to 4 books she has written, and she's going to come on and discuss them with me and my brother KYs and the rest of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, get your hands together for the one and only Miss DM Williams. Let's go. How you doing today, Miss Williams?
I'm good. How are you all?
Oh man, I tell you, it's always something over here, man. We try our best to switch up and see how things are going and making things as possible happen as much as possible, but it's always something on this end.
I get
But
that.
definitely. Um, but I would like for you to go ahead and introduce yourself, to all our followers, likers, and subscribers at this moment.
Yeah, my name is DM Williams. My author's handle is DM Williams. My name is Donna Williams. And I write romance novels and family sagas, Christian literature. Fiction literature is what I write.
Okay. Now, with the novels, what got you into writing books?
When I was young, my mom used to order those Harlequin books. I don't know if you know anything about those in a Harlequin romance. And
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while, I'd read one or two, and they were enjoyable. But um, reading one day, I realized, I probably can do this myself. I was really young, and I stayed by myself a lot. I was always jotting something down, writing a poem, writing a song or something. And so I was like, I probably can do this too. So at really young, I just started writing about stuff.
So, what was your first book, and what was the manuscript like for that book?
My first book was called "It's Always Darkest Just Before Dawn,"
Mm-hmm.
and it was I call it a dark romance because the woman came out of an abusive relationship and ended up entering into a really good relationship, but she had difficulty making that transition. So it's kind of a dark romance type of thing. And that was back in 2004 when it was published.
Okay. Now, with everything being said, right, and we're talking about the book itself, dark romances. Can you elaborate on what it actually is a dark romance book?
In the book that I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
um, she was dealing with the abusive relationship throughout uh, the majority of the book, and
Mm-hmm.
that kept it in kind of a sad place, um, where you were really being drawn into her emotions from her past relationships, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that made it a dark romance. She really did love this one guy, but she couldn't quite get past her past to embrace the new guy.
Now, going forward, you said you write Christian novels. Now, with these
Yes,
Christian novels, how are they're just religious based, or they based in religious values and morals?
they're based on religious values and morals. I always say my stories are stories that resonate with people. So in all of my books, there's a character in there that you or a family member, whoever's reading, you're gonna look at that character and you're gonna say, "Oh, okay, I know about that. I know about that." And it's not that they're even they're still going through stuff, but it's not dark because they're actually realizing that they have a way out. So they're not staying in a place throughout the book. They're actually evolving on into the good place.
Okay. So, with the, if you don't mind me asking, what was it about Christian novel romance books? Like, am I saying it correctly? Like Christian novel romance books.
Uh-huh. That's fine.
Um,
Christian romance novels, yeah.
yeah, Christian
Was
romance novels.
mhm.
What was it about that made you want to write about? You know what I'm saying? Make you want to write, and who inspired you as writers to embark on that journey?
I First of all, let's get to who inspired me. So
Mm-hmm.
VC Andrews, I'm a huge fan of VC Andrews, and
Mm-hmm.
from from her, I learned that even through the tough times, you can move on and end up somewhere positive. So with my books, the characters do go through stuff, but we don't linger in that bad stuff. Like for instance, with Barlow's definition of flawless, and of course the name insinuates that he is, possibly, this perfect guy out there, which everybody knows that nobody's perfect. He has his own issues that he has to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
His first wife died. Only married 6 years, very young. And so from there, he decided he didn't want to love anymore, and he decided he didn't want to have anything to do with God anymore. But as we all know, God, even if we give up on God, God doesn't give up on us. So um, God found a way to reach him, and and to draw him back to him, and he did that through a new love called chastity. Of course, it was 26 years later, but he still did it.
Now, when we get to talking about Barlow, because there's a trilogy with Barlow, if I'm not mistaken. There's a trilogy with Barlow,
Yes.
and he goes through various
Hmm.
different stages. Can you speak about why do you choose him to be the main character in your books?
Why do I choose him? Because when I started writing about Barlow, I made him a complicated person, and um, he was complicated because when he was a child, um, his mother, the woman who was raising him, had introduced him to God. He knew about God, and but when the bad thing happened, and he decided to turn away from that God, and just he decided to just work and just work until he worked himself into a multi-billionaire. And from there, um, he became complicated. He didn't know how to. He had stopped loving, so he didn't know how to show love, and he had to be taught how to show love again. In the first book, it gets difficult because he treats his relationship like like it's business. It's like he's hardcore businessman, and so that rolled over into his personal life. But he's evolving because Chastity, his new wife, his new love, she's reteaching him about God. She's reintroducing him to God, and so he begins to soften. And by the second book, he's at a place where he's still going through stuff, but his faith is increasing, and um, he's more embracing of the God spirit, and God has placed a calling on his life. So now he's struggling with, whether or not to accept that calling, even though he's still going through some stuff. God is still, you know, putting some situations in his life that he has no control over. So he either has to decide to trust God in those situations, or go back to the place where he was, and he doesn't want to go back to that place where he was.
Now, in the first book of Barlow, Fearless, he was engulfed in a lot of guilt. He was engulfed in a lot of guilt. Was it that he felt like he didn't spend enough time? He wasn't given the energy that was needed to his wife before her passing, um, or was he just engulfed into the business at that point?
No. So the guilt came from when he first started out. First of all, his talent was inherited from his dad. So as a child, he was able to build and construct things without any type of education. Whether he was a genius in in the construction field. So he grew his business on that. He started his business, and so the people around him, they didn't want him in that business, in they didn't want him as competition, and so they kept trying to persuade him not to be a part of the competition, but he wouldn't listen. And so his wife was killed during an attempt to actually try and stop him, where they manipulated um, his his brakes on his vehicle, and she ended up having an accident. So because of that, because he knew how the accident happened, he blames himself for uh, for not adhering and just doing something else. But he loved construction so much, he didn't want to stop. So the guilt came from knowing that he was the cause. He was the cause of her dying.
So, in the process of not wanting to find love, and then love finding him with Chastity, and she was able to open his heart back up into um, religion and morals and values and soften him up, whereas he was receptive, you know what I'm saying, to love.
Yes, not just to love, but to God as well.
Mm-hmm.
She began, and she wasn't like Chastity isn't a preachy type person. She just um, like in their conversation, he asked her once, why God took her smile, because Chastity didn't she didn't care to smile,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't because she was hurting or because she was sad or anything. She just thought it was mysterious. So she liked being mysterious. So he asked her, why if God is so great, why did she take her smile away?
Mm-hmm.
And she explained to him that smiling is a choice for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She don't smile because she don't want to smile. It has nothing to do with how God has disappointed her or whatever. It's simply a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so as she goes along, she's explaining these types of things to him, that life is basically a choice. We choose to smile, we choose to trust, we choose to believe. It's our choice.
Well, going now with the three books, right? Because I want to make sure I get them correct. Barlow, the definition of flawless, right?
Hmm.
And because there's a
Right,
trilogy with that, right? There's a trilogy with Barlow.
right.
Now you have hold on, Barlow one. Then you have book number two, which is Barlow redefined. Life is good in the Grove. Could you speak to that a little bit for me?
So life is good in the Grove. Barlow and Chastity have married,
Mm-hmm.
and life continues on from there. He's happy. Things are going great. Um, he didn't think anything can get any better than what they are right now. And of course, with the marriage comes family. So God is giving him a family, and that in itself is a struggle, because here's another test that he has to go through. Chastity is dealing with a difficult pregnancy, and so his biggest fear, which after after meeting Chastity, his biggest fear was the same thing happening to Chastity that happened to his first wife, which he ended up dying some kind of
Mm-hmm.
way. And so that had kind of subsided a little bit, but then after they're having this difficulty in the pregnancy, that fear rises again. So he goes through this struggle all over again of trying to trust God with her life,
Mm-hmm.
and so not just her life, but then other family members, other people that he care about, their lives are also being challenged. And so he has to make the decision. Okay, I'm either going to have to trust God just completely,
Mm-hmm.
or or just not. And by now, he's getting to a place to where he feels like he can trust God with their lives.
Now, and then book number three of the trilogy is the Trestle Rat. The story, the family is everything.
Tresselrat, the story of
Yeah,
Al.
story of Al. Family
Yes,
is everything.
Tresselrat. Yes, that's a family saga. And by the way, the second book was no, this is found family. The second book was family saga.
Mm-hmm.
So Al, he was an orphan,
Mm-hmm.
and his only dream that he's ever had was to be able to find his family. So he was living in an orphanage, and at the age of 10, he
Mm-hmm.
finally ran away, decided he was going to go look for his family in orphanage, and he ran all the way uh, to another city, Amory, Mississippi. As a matter of fact, he ran to Amory, and he was there for about 2 years. A nice family took him in off the street, and but he still yearned to find his family. So he went out exploring after a couple of years there, and ran into Rob Barlow, and they instantly became friends, and had been and are friends for the rest of their lives. So he realizes, he meets Rob, and after Rob's mom, and his future wife, and also the people that took him in. And so later on, he realizes that family isn't just blood. Family can be the people in your circle. But Rob Barlow was the most important person in his circle.
Now, when it comes down to that trilogy, right?
Hmm.
That's another book that we have not even just like looking over your writing history and everything,
Hmm.
right? One of your more popular books is The Night We Danced.
Yeah, that's my brand new release. And it's a knockoff from the Barlow trilogy. So Chastity and uh, and Barlow, they had quadruplets, and so this book is about the youngest of the quadruplets who falls in love with a very influential man, and his uncle is not a good person to deal with. So he is not someone that would approve of a marriage with a black, a relationship even with a black woman. So he knew that, you know, getting involved with her was gonna be trouble, but he he just fell for her instantly, and so he was willing to take that chance, and it ended up putting her life in danger, not the nephew's life, but hers. So he had to fight.
So
He has to fight to
with
save her.
with that, it's based on an interracial relationship
Yes,
in Mississippi.
yes. They Remy, which is Barlow's daughter, she lives in Mississippi. The boyfriend is from Mexico.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, because I was wondering, because I was like, okay, this is an interracial relationship, and sometimes certain places isn't always receptive
Hmm.
to interracial relationships, and a lot of times we can say that place is one of them. But with a Hispanic and a black, that's an interesting combination because
It
being
is.
in New York.
He's actually Venezuelan.
Uh huh.
Yeah, he's a Venezuelan, but he's adopted into a sinister family. And so the uncle, his adopted uncle, he's actually the bad guy, and he just there's actually a deeper plot other than just him being involved with the black woman. Um, the uncle thinks he's already married because the uncle had arranged a marriage for him to this other rich family, and so the uncle thinks he's married to this woman, but Arion, which is the guy's name, he can't marry someone that he doesn't love. So he didn't legally marry the woman, but his uncle thinks that they're married.
Oh, so there was that common law, that what they call common law and shacking that was going on in the book.
Oh no, 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 no! I don't write about shacking. No, they did live together, but
Uh huh.
uh, they they slept in separate rooms. They never
Okay.
consummated it. Well, the marriage was never real, so they never did anything together. He's
Oh,
a very honorable man. Ariana is a very honorable man.
okay. So when we look at the your books and that you've written, do they have like underlying messages with your books and moral code values that you're looking to plant seeds within your readers?
Yes. First of all, with Barlow has to learn to forgive in order to move forward. He has to not just forgive the people who hurt him in the past, killed his wife and tried to hurt Chastity. He has to learn to forgive himself as well. And in the second book, he has to um, embrace his faith because his faith is building. So he has to learn how to trust his faith. And in the third book, It's also about faith. Al, God answers a child's prayer in Trestle Rat, and it tells us that even as children, we can pray to God and He'll hear us and He'll answer us. God will answer a sincere prayer from anyone, even a child. And then the fourth book again is about faith, because Barlow again he has to go rescue his daughter, and he has to do it without compromising his cloth, and he has to do it without um what's the word I'm looking for? Without giving up in God. He has to trust God to bring through this. He can't rescue his daughter and compromise his cloth also. So it's still
Okay, so in
a faith walk.
so in the book, when we talk about Marlo, he struggles with his morality at some point until he's able to get back on the path. And when I say struggle with morality, I mean like his value system of Christian-based values because of the things that he's been through.
So this is where it gets complicated. Barlow basically is a good man. His main thing is he doesn't care for God anymore because of what happened to his wife. But he has all of the Christian values instilled in him. He's a good person. He helps people. Um, uh, he has spent his money on he help people, and he just everything that a Christian should be. That's what he is. But it's hidden under his hardcore businessman persona. Like just to talk to someone who doesn't know him, just to talk to him, they would just see him as a business mule. But once you get to know him, then they find out that he's really a good person, and he has a good heart, and he treats people good. But he's not relating that to anything God related. It's just his personality hidden under the businessman persona.
Now that you have written books, have you ever thought about writing plays, turning your books into plays or actual movies?
I haven't thought about the plays part. I would like to see Barlow in the movies on the big screen. Uh, I have thought about that, but I haven't thought about making a play out of it.
Because it looks like from because I'm getting text messages talking about they need the link to the book because they want to buy the book because they see it's a good read, but it's also too it would be a great stage play, to captivate an audience, as well as a movie theater, a movie itself, because captivating audiences, what I'm saying, in the book and on the stage, you'll be able to see your words come to life.
Yeah, that would be lovely, and they could also see because it's difficult for me to explain it. I always tell people I write better than I talk, but they could also see how Barlow actually how you can actually resonate with him and his situation. I mean, it's not like I call him definition of flawless, but he's not flawless by a long shot. And once you get into the story and once you get into the meat of the story, you realize that yeah, he does have flaws, but uh, that doesn't stop him from being a really good person.
Now that's right there is what we're talking about when it comes down that people are able to resonate with the main character. And if they're able to connect with that main character, that will go a long way. And with just by describing Barlow, a lot of people will be able to connect with him because they're in conflict with some things that then happen, and they always question their faith in the process. So I think that that would be
Mm-hmm.
great, you know what I'm saying, for individuals as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, on the
Yes.
stage as well as in the book. And hey, 601, thanks for that, man. So I'm sending that out right now, bro. And definitely giving, you know what I'm saying, the opportunity for people to really uh, take time and reflect on themselves. When you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
having conflict or having being displeased with their God, that's something that's um, a lot of people have been through because they question why certain things happen.
Right. Right.
So we look at the reality of it all, and so Miss Williams, what is the next book or the next step for Miss DM Williams?
So the next step is, like I said, Barlow and Chastity, they had 4 children. They had quadruplets. So each one of them is going to get a book, and Barlow is going to have to, deal with more kid trouble. So, but yeah, but he's going to come through it. All of my books have happy ever after endings,
Mm-hmm.
so they're all going to come through whatever it is they're going through.
Definitely. Well, Miss Williams, I'm not going to hold you much longer on here, but I want to thank you so much for coming. And we're going to invest in getting a couple of Barlow's books because I want to read it now. I really want to get off into it and see
Thank you,
and see what's, you know what I'm
thank you for inviting
saying.
me.
Man, thank Ike, man, my brother Ike, Devonese, you know what I mean, for reaching out. Much love, and I appreciate that. But also too, if you
Yes.
can you tell the people where they can get your books at? All your books, all, you know what I'm saying, whether it's in paperback, whether it's on the Kindle, just let them know where they can find your books.
Okay, so all of the books except for the night we dance, all the books are in ebook, paperback, and hard copy on my website busyhands.com or Amazon. You can get them either place. And then the night we dance is only in paperback and ebook. Ebook is on Amazon, and the paperback is on my website and Amazon busyhands.com.
Definitely. Well, we're definitely going to be looking into getting some of these books and getting sitting down and reading and getting in some of Barlow's business. Because I think that's what we're going to start doing, getting in some of Barlow's business. But
Oh, thank you. Yes.
but
Yes.
but thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, and it was a breath of fresh air to have you on today. You know what I mean? Hey, Dirty, what's
Thank you.
going on with you, my brother? Thank you again. And I really appreciate, the efforts that you're doing, bringing the, awareness, that everything don't have to end, sad. We can enjoy, we can
Right.
have a happy ending, and we can love, we lose, and we can re-love again. We can connect and reconnect all the time. So I want to thank you for that.
Right.
I want to thank those who are on YouTube watching, those who are on Twitter, Twitch watching, those who will be on Facebook watching. Thank y'all so much for y'all support and y'all patience with Real to Real 360. Big bro, you know what time it is, man.
Yes, yes. Uh, Ms. Williams, thank you again for coming on to the show. We appreciate you. If you have any more in the works or coming up and anything like that, please come back and let us know. We'd love to interview you again and bring forth those books.
I will. Thank you.
One question that I did
Thank
want
you.
to ask you before we go is your determination and inspiration behind your works, and how do you overcome if you ever endure any writer's block at any given time? What could you give to somebody else out there who's inspiring to write and always seems stumbles within a writing block situation?
So that's an interesting question. I haven't experienced writer block for a long time now. When I wrote one paragraph of Barlow years ago, and when COVID hit and everybody was home, I was like, well, this is a good time to get back to writing. And so once I got back to writing, I haven't experienced to write a block. So I don't know what I can tell people about that, particular instance. But I I like inspiring people. Life has a story, and it's not always a happy story, but it can end up with a good ending as long as we trust God with the ending. And so that's what I like to write about. I like to write about trusting God, the ending.
Well, that alone could be inspirational to somebody who's been listening. So we thank you very much for that insight, and take care of yourselves, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. I am K Wise Allah, aka Kato, the Black Superhero. That's my brother, like no other, Joshua Allah, Mr. PhD. Who?
Himself.
All right. And y'all take care of yourselves, and we're going to see you when we can. This was Real2reel360, and we are Audi 5000.